Hello everyone, and welcome to the series premiere of Star Trek Event Horizon, a Star Trek Adventures second edition, and of course somebody hits me with momentum in the middle of my monologue, a Star Trek Adventures second edition game using the rules by Modifius Entertainment. My name is ELH the Game Master, and joining me are three lovely individuals who will meet right away because I am eager to get started. So we'll start with Peter. Peter, who are you playing, and anything you want to shout out?
All right. Hey, everyone. I'm Peter, or Petrus. I am playing Lieutenant Commander Jaral, the Temerian Chief Engineer. So expect phrases. Um, anything to shout out? Not particularly today, but maybe
Okay,
later.
maybe later. Okay. Raven, what do you got going on?
Hey, I'm Tony, or Ravens. I'm playing Commander Oliver Mason, commanding officer of the Event Horizon. You can also see me over at Crucible Gaming, where we play Forbidden Lands, Pathfinder, a host of games. We've been doing that for a few years now.
All right. And last but not least, Steadfast, what do you got going on?
Hello, Steadfast Pig or Richard here. I'm playing Lieutenant Commander Zephyt, Denobulan Helm, and the security officer on this beautiful new fun ship. I'm just your friendly neighborhood local game store owner in Atlanta. So if anybody's ever around, shoot me a PM. Come by, hang out. We have a fun time. So we're excited, and I'm super ready to be on here. So this will be great.
All right. Now, we don't quite have an intro yet. We're still trying to get the model of the ship from the actual designer. But for the time being, we're just going to do a sort of a cold open, as it were. So, as classic Star Trek happens, or maybe classic Star Wars more often than not, we sort of see a grand starfield in front of us. And as the camera pans down, we begin to see the Antari shipyards, where the U.S.S. Event Horizon is currently undergoing last systems check before its inaugural launch. Now, the Event Horizon is somewhat shaped like an arrowhead, but instead of it being a sleek arrowhead like a Dauntless class, it's more origami like, where there's sharp angles. It looks like paper has been folded this way and that way, with four underslung nacelles, I believe it's hexagonal deflector, all of it designed for one purpose and one purpose only: to test Starfleet's first ever full coaxial warp prototype vessel. And as we sort of slide past the U.S.S. Event Horizon into the actual support structure of the berth, we come into a conference room where the three of you are currently located, overlooking your brand new ship, and there is a rear admiral with you. And the rear admiral is Rear Admiral Adama. Yes, Adama, just like Battlestar Galactica.
Glad you
But
said something
Adama
immediately.
Adama is a young Rear Admiral, things considered. He's in his 40s rather than his 50s or 60s. And he is wearing the colors of Starfleet Engineering. So you get the sense that this is a man who works for a living. But as he is kind of looking out the window, he kind of have his hands clasped behind his back before he turns and says, "Well, gentlemen, I believe there is no reason to stall things further. Your ship is quite well equipped for the mission I have in front of you. And once you do this inaugural mission as sort of a systems test, I believe that you are able to go farther and further than any other vessel in our fleet, assuming the coaxial warp drive works as intended. However, your first mission will be both a test of your acumen and the ship itself." And he walks over to one of the tables, and he waves a hand above it, and a hologram displays above it. And what you see is something unique. Instead of it being like a black hole or a space-time anomaly, it's actually what looks to be like a white hole or like a wormhole that's spewing out particles and things of that nature. And Rear Admiral Adama points at it and says, "This is a white hole that we have found in the Zeta Epsilon sector. Now, unfortunately, we have been limited to long range scans based on the unique subatomic particles that the white hole is putting out. It shuts down standard impulsed, standard warp engines, but thanks to Tom Paris's engineering on the event horizon, you've got engines better than half the fleet, if not most of the fleet. Plus, with coaxial warp, you should be one of the only ships capable of getting close to this anomaly and investigating it and scanning it for science.
Admiral, are there any potential negative side effects of being within the perimeter of this white hole that we can tell, or no?
And before I answer that, why don't you describe your character for us?
Zephyr is a pretty large, bulky denobulin. He's completely bald. No facial hair. Very thin little eyebrows. Just a very serious look in his eyes. And he's kind of, it seems like he's like twitching a little bit, like with a hand, whether it's nervousness or excitement. But he's ready to probably not be in a meeting room and probably just fly the damn ship. So he's very excited to get his hands on it, and is really just looking forward to learning what's going on so we can get out of here. He's like, come on, please.
Let me go, let me go.
Yeah.
All right. And to answer your question, Adama says, well, we're unsure as the effects on organic life, but that will be one of the things you get to discover. So, standard Starfleet fashion, if it turns you into salamanders, try not to make a whole evolutionary fiasco.
Fair enough. Yeah, no complaints there, I guess, Admiral. Thank you.
And I assume, sir, that the intent is to study this phenomenon and report back whatever we find.
Exactly. And why don't you tell us about Commander Mason?
Sure. Commander Mason is human, relatively young for a commander. Not quite young enough to beat any kind of record like Kirk's, but he's a career-driven, promotion-driven fellow. About average height, average weight, fairly athletic. Has a tendency to frown a lot, has a tendency to hang around with his arms crossed. It's quite serious most of the time.
Okay. So Adama says, yes, you're to study it. If there is anything we need to know about it, such as it dumping particles that could collapse subspace or anything dangerous about it, obviously operate at your discretion. But ideally, we're just sending you on a fact-finding mission of science.
Assuming the coaxial drive works as intended.
We're 96% sure it'll work. And at this,
well, my calculations
Adama
came
actually,
up a little better.
I was going to say, at this, Adama actually turns to Lieutenant Commander Giral. And Peter, if you tell us a little bit about Giral.
So Giral is a Temerian. So if you're not familiar, watch Darmok. He's kind of, say he's about like 5'10", ish, average build, a little on the younger side, I would say. At least the idea is that he has a somewhat nonchalant attitude. So not terribly serious, but not just like, eh.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right. But Adama turns to you and says, Lieutenant Commander Giral, she is technically your vessel as an engineer. Is there anything that you would wish to know about it, other than what's been covered in briefings so far?
The only thing that I have a question with, Admiral, is how much of the fuel source do we have? I know that the core for the coaxial drive is fairly small. But on the off chance that we shock it up, end up somewhere else, will we have enough fuel to return home? I would much prefer not to perform a Voyager when the caretaker happened.
Yes, we would not want another Voyager incident. Well, what I can tell you is that obviously in one of your closets you have the actual coaxial warp, which is rather intuitive. I like what Tom Paris did with, what did he call it, a warp carbulator? Cabulator? I don't get it. It's some old Earth thing. But in general, you do also have a actual warp core that usually is what's providing power. But as you get close to this white hole, you're going to have to switch primarily over to the coaxial power instead. Now, it's anyone's guess if your ionic cannons will still work. Your transphasic torpedoes should still technically work if you need to use them. Just remember, you only got 4 of the things.
Well, if everything goes right, sir, we're not going to need to fire any weapons.
Well, yes, ideally. But just to cover the bases, I just wanted to make it clear.
We'll definitely test them while we're nearby to ensure that if we're nearby in the future, we'll know if they work or not.
Very good. Any other questions, gentlemen?
Don't believe so, sir. I think myself and the crew are anxious to get this trip on the road.
Very good. Then you are dismissed, and good voyage.
Thank you, sir.
With sails unfurled. Walk away.
Love it. So what we see is there's a gantry that connects to the airlock on the event horizon, and we see you all crossing along with all of your supporting crew. There's only 9 people on this ship. So what that means in terms of mechanics is we, of course, have double up roles. For example, Commander Mason, good at command, good at science. Giral, good at engineering, good at medicine. Zephyt, good at con, good at security. And we do have supporting characters. Everyone here has their own supporting character they can use. But for the most part, this is a very small, very tight-knit crew. And as we see everyone cross the gangplank and emerge through the airlock of the event horizon, what you emerge into is a long hallway. Now, this long hallway runs all the way from bow to stern. It runs from the bridge itself all the way to engineering in the back. Now, along this hallway is several support closets, including your coaxial drive closet, as I'm going to call it. You also have a science lab. You have what is essentially a medical bay closet where there's like 2 bio beds. And you also, if need be, have a hollow closet, which is somehow smaller than what Quarks has on DS9, so it's even smaller than that. But as you all start to filter off into your own areas, imagine the 3 of you directly heading to the bridge, a little holographic hummingbird appears and sort of flits around your heads. Now, all of you would know that this sort of kaleidoscopic, prismatic hummingbird is the representation of the Event Horizon's AI. Now, it's a bit of an experimental AI. It's not a full AI, but it is able to act in the same capacity as, say, the EMH of Voyager, where it can be an EMH, it can be emergency engineering, emergency command, whatever it is required of it. But as the little hummingbird flits around each of your heads, it actually comes to stop in front of Commander Mason. If you keep walking, it'll keep pace so you don't run into it, but the little hummingbird says, "Welcome, Commander Mason, Lieutenant Commander Giral, and Lieutenant Commander Zephyt. My name is the Event Horizon, and welcome to my vessel."
Wow, hello,
that's-
Event Horizon. Interesting form you've taken.
I figured that the hummingbird would be perfect, as this is a journey of both speed and alacrity.
I suppose so.
Wow, but poignant, interesting. Good job, I guess.
Now, Commander Mason, if it is not rude of me to ask, I did see something in your file about the Q.
Ah, yes. Yeah. What are you curious about exactly?
Oh, I am just simply curious what the experience was like, but perhaps we can talk about it while we're on the way. My apologies, I get excited sometimes.
Interesting trait for a hologram.
Well, they did wish for me to be somewhat more ingenuitive than Voyager's EMH ended up being at the end of the day.
Well, hopefully you're more pleasant, which I expect you will be.
Well, yes, I have been
Cut-
programmed with over
covert.
1,600 different jokes from various species in the Gamma Quadrant.
Can you
But as
tell
you
us
can
one?
guess, their humor is derivative.
Could you tell us a joke?
Yes, in fact, I will tell a Tamarian one for Lieutenant Commander Giral.
Oh, okay.
And the hummingbird flits in front of your face and says, "There is a saying among the Tamarians that Peter, when the dice fell, is know when you are having a good time."
Just see Gerald just kind of like go stone faced for a second. Yes.
Perhaps my delivery was not good enough.
Lieutenant Gerald, was that a good joke in your culture? Was that like a bad one? How does that work? Was it good?
Yes, but unexpected in this circumstance.
Oh,
As you may know, the Temerian language is circumstantial. Very metaphorical about
Interesting.
particular events. Yes.
At least it wasn't bloodily inappropriate.
right.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
that's what I was kind of worried about as well.
No,
We
it
have
wasn't
Okay,
inappropriate.
that's good.
We don't have to write up the AI.
Right. Yeah. Good start.
Yeah, we've almost made it to our seats, so
Yeah.
And yeah, as the door opens and you emerge onto the bridge, it is a very small bridge. In fact, if you remember what it looks like for the Defiant on DS9, it's very similar, where you've got that command chair still in the middle, where Mason will have his seat. And then in front of him are two command consoles, one to the left, one to the right. The left one is for engineering and science. The right console is for tactical and helm operations. Now, of course, there are two auxiliaries behind the command chair, which you can repurpose to whatever, but for the most part, Dral, you're at the left, Zephit, you're at the right. And as you all settle in, your AI sort of flits around your heads and flits around the bridge and says, "The support structure is signaling that we may leave at your discretion, Commander Mason."
all right. Let's take us out and let's not scratch the paint. You never live that down if you scratch the paint on the first voyage.
Tommy, when the ship left.
Exactly. Whatever that means, do that.
Aye,
Don't
sir.
do
I
that.
assure you, I wildly excited to fly this beautiful vessel, and I will make sure from here on out no paint will be scratched unless it is directly ordered of me, sir.
Just remember, she's fast. She'll move
That's what
faster than you think.
that's what I'm really excited to test that out, sir, at our earliest convenience, of course. But for
Put her through
now,
her basis and
standard docking procedures.
All right. So as the little umbilicals all detach and pull away from the event horizon, Zephit, I need you to make what might be a trend-setting roll. This was going to be a standard control and con at a difficulty of 0. However, somebody threw threat at my face earlier. So what
course.
that means is it's now a difficulty of 1.
Yeah, of
We're
course.
lucky I'm not rolling.
But yeah, just give me a control con, difficulty of 1. You have a focus. You should be
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, I
Surely.
am going to give you a threat just because I'm always
Just
gonna give
okay,
you
I'll take a threat. Sure.
I'm always going to give you a threat.
I'll take it.
And then here we go.
Okay, so that is 3 successes. And that means you go up to 3 momentum because we had one from chat as well. Well done.
Cool.
So, as the umbilicals all retract and you begin filtering out of the entire shipyards, you sort of do a slow climb off to camera left, and then you pan away from the shipyards out into open space in the direction of Zeta Epsilon, where this white hole is located.
Wow, Commander, let me tell you, this thing feels very smooth. It's very, very well crafted.
well, you did a great job bringing her around.
I would hope so. Otherwise, I should not be a
I would
lieutenant
hope so
commander.
too. Well, I guess we should set our course. AI,
Yes,
Event
how can I
Horizon,
help?
what What do you want to be called?
EH is fine.
EH. Okay. EH. What's the data that you have, information you have on these white holes? How far away do we need to be outside of its influence?
That is the tricky part. It is affecting an area of approximately 1 light year in diameter.
Okay. Colin, set the course for two light years out. We're not on a time crunch. We can fire a probe in when we get there.
Mhm.
Let's see what this thing can do.
Aye,
Captain,
aye, set in course.
do you
Also,
wish to use the normal warp drive or the coaxial?
Well, get us to a safe distance and let's see what the closet can do. If we're going to break down, we might as well be close to home.
Very
Yeah.
good.
All right. So, there is no actual rule for coaxial warp because, Modifius never intended us to have coaxial warp, but I say forget that homebrew time.
yeah.
So, the way it's going to work is anytime you use coaxial warp, it's going to require your reserve power on the ship. And yes, you have a talent that might affect that, but there's steps. It'll take reserve power to activate coaxial warp, and it is a engineering and con assist from the ship. Whoever is jumping the ship through coaxial warp is going to be doing a control and a con at a difficulty of 2. Now, as a reminder, the Event Horizon is an experimental vessel, which means the Event Horizon always has a complication range of 18 to 20. So whoever's at helm, your standard complication, whoever rolls for the ship, it is an 18 to 20.
Copy.
There's also something you have where whenever you take the warp major action, and that's what coaxial warp will be in mechanics sake, you can actually roll a d20, and if it's below the Event Horizon's engines, you keep your reserve power. And since your engines is a 13, you have really good odds to keep your reserve power. But let's do the actual roll first, and then we'll worry about reserve power. So again, it is a control and a con. It is assisted by the Event Horizon's engines con, again at a difficulty of 2.
Copy. All right, I'll give you a threat again.
Okay.
Control con, here it comes.
All right, well, that's already 4 successes. So that's already 2 momentum.
Ship.
And then if someone could grab the ship. Remember, it's only 1 die for the ship, but we'll take the first one. They're both successes. You're good. So that is 5 successes overall, bringing you up to 6 momentum. Well done. So what we see is as you punch it, actually, you know what? Hold on, Mason. What is your thing? Is it engage? Is it make it so? Is it punch it? What is Mason's thing?
Right. Well, it's got to be hockey themed
Nice.
because he's Canadian and a big hockey guy.
If I knew hockey, I could give suggestions, but I don't.
It'll just be drop the puck.
Drop the puck.
Just
All right.
That's
drop
great.
the puck.
Drop the puck. I'm going to
Sure.
make a note.
What? Why not?
All right. It is now canon. All right.
That's
well,
great. I love it.
you say drop the puck, and interestingly, what happens is since you're using coaxial warp, there's not the standard Star Trek where you just sort of elongate the ship into infinity and then there's a flash of light. Instead, the edges of the ship begin to glow with a blue light as what looks to be from the outside, the ship begins to fold in on itself like an origami structure. For you inside the ship looking out of the view screen, what you see is sort of a tesseract, if you will, where it's a kaleidoscopic view where if you kind of put 2 mirrors next to each other where you sort of see out to infinity, kind of a same sort of thing here where you're just seeing blue particles and different sort of structures of different geometric shapes. It's not like a spore drive in Discovery. It's more structured, if you will. But you're only in it for a few moments before the ship, quote unquote, unfolds and you arrive at your destination. Now, as a point of order, you were 3 light years away. That should have taken, maybe a day and a half, or maybe 12 hours if you really wanted to get going, kind of a thing. You did it in 5 minutes, if that.
Well, that's almost scary.
Yeah, I'm double and triple checking our location. It's accurate, exactly what I plotted. We're to the thousandth decimal, Commander. We're perfect. So that's well
Unreal.
done. Fast ship, that's for sure.
How's our power engineering?
And that's my next question is Peter, since you're the engineer, you get to roll this. I need to see a D20 under 13 to get you reserve power back.
Is this gonna work for me?
And you get it back.
Nice.
Congratulations. Awesome. So, as you all are looking over sensors, congratulating yourselves for a quick jump, let me describe what the white hole looks like. Again, I'd like you to imagine sort of the wormhole on DS9, but it is quite literally all white in hue, and there is I guess you would call it a particle fountain that is pouring out of it at a steady rate. It's like almost like a regular fountain, but instead of, water, it is different kind of verterons and tachyons and a whole cornucopia of just exotic particles that you wouldn't normally find in this area of space. But as you all look at it, two things happen, and I'm actually going to spend some of this threat that you gave me to do it. So there is a burst of energy that comes from the white hole, and it washes over the event horizon. Now, since you have two warp cores, you're all right, because what happens is Dural, main warp core, not the coaxial one, the main warp core goes offline immediately. Your impulse engines, the port impulse engine is no longer working. And across the ship, there's flickering of lights, the deck plating gets a little lighter, and overall, the ship has to kick into reserve power.
Captain, we
Oh,
have lost some power, but the coaxial engines are still working.
can you bring it back up?
Bring back up the main warp core? I don't believe I can, Captain. As if I recall correctly from the Admiral's briefing, there is a equivalent to a dampening field a light year out. So,
Tom
Is
wasn't
there
joking.
is there anything I could determine visually from what we saw for the purposes of quick survey and whatnot?
Yeah, that's right, because your power combo, that's right.
The power combo, yeah.
Yeah. So remind me, quick survey is the one that you basically get to ask a question based on your intuition, correct?
Based on things that I can discover with my own senses. So it can't be with like ship sensors. It has to be with what we've seen.
Okay.
And then with Studious, it lets me ask the second question, and Plan of Action lets me make a trade.
Got it. So as this sort of power dampening field overwashes the ship, you still look at the view screen and it flickers a little bit. But what you notice is there are these white orbs that are not actually part of the particle stream. They seem to be, you can't really tell the distance because it's space and size is deceptive, but they are sizable white orbs that are sort of rotating around the actual fountain itself as if regulating it, dancing in it. You're not sure, but you do see three white orbs all the same.
Are they are they directing it? Or we're not sure at
I
this
would say,
stage.
unfortunately, you're not sure.
Right. I'm just trying to think of a second question so I can get that trait going. I'm
Well,
only going
Peter,
by.
steadfast. Any help? Maybe.
Sorry. What are my notes? What? We're two. How far are we out?
2 light years out.
Two
Which,
light
as
years
a
out,
reminder,
it's
the
still
admiral only
affecting
said it was
us.
supposed to be 1 light year.
Right. So
That's
I'm wondering, does it appear to be more potent than the last time they scanned it, or from whatever the scans were that we showed that Admiral Dahmer showed us, does it appear to have increased its potency in that time? Since
yeah.
we should be out of the range theoretically, but
All right. Ravens, do you want that to be your second question?
Yeah, that's a great question. Is this thing behaving like we expected it to?
Right.
All right. So the answer is yes and no. And what I mean by that is the hologram that Adama showed you was a fairly small phenomenon. It wasn't a grand particle fountain that it is now. So apparently, between the time it took you to launch the event horizon and get it here, or whenever the last scan was made, it has grown in both size and intensity.
Okay. So with rapid hypothesis, with those two questions, I will create the trait of uh, white hole theory,
Okay.
just so we have a general understanding, a fairly
Right.
good understanding actually of how these things behave or how it's
Mhm.
behaving.
Okay. And you now have that trait noted in Foundry.
Nice.
And just for the other two fellows, I also have plan of action. So if we
Cool.
reduce the difficulty representing a plan, strategy, or course of action because of a trait that I generated, we get extra 2 momentum.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
So he's
Very
Now, is
super
that
smart, but
bonus
that's
momentum
all he can
or
do
just
is super
momentum?
smart.
Sorry, is it bonus momentum or just extra momentum?
Bonus momentum.
Okay, so that is a key
That bonus,
distinction.
yeah, cannot be saved specifically.
Right.
Got it. All right. Well, the good news,
Okay.
you still have power. The hologram is still on if you want to talk to EH, but yeah, how do you want to proceed from here?
I think step one is to get a solid scan of what's
Mhm.
going on.
Okay.
Con, just pull us away. We don't need to go too fast. Or how
Copy.
slow can we go with just
We
the
only have one
coaxial?
functioning impulse engine,
Yeah.
so we cannot move quickly at sublight.
Do you want me to back up and see where we start to remove ourselves from the tomfoolery of the white hole range?
Well, we'll start working that direction. I don't know if that would take us 5 years
Right.
or 5
Exactly.
minutes.
Yeah.
But I do note there's some more flying out there. I don't know what they're doing, but I'm going to take a scan and see what I can find out.
Cool. And
All
I'll
right.
We'll
just I'll
prep a
just
probe and fire
slowly
it off.
slowly move away.
All right, Mason, since you are our science person here, if you could give me a reason and a science, and you would have actually several focuses that would apply here, but I'm not going to tell you which because that would be cheating. The ship will assist you with a sensor science. Remember, the ship always rolls one die, and it is with a focus. And then the difficulty on this, it was going to be a 4, but since you created the trait of white hole theory, it comes down to a 3.
Nice.
We have lots of momentum, so I think I'll spend, what, 3?
We
Okay.
give you two
Yeah.
more
Go
dice.
for it.
3 for 2 dice?
Okay.
There we go. Maybe.
Hasn't come through on my end yet. Maybe hit it again?
Yeah, I'll just fire it up again here.
There we go. All right, so that is 5 successes already. Well done there. And then if someone could grab the ship, again, it is a sensor science, only 1 die, yes with a focus, complication of 18 to 20. Okay, no help from the ship, but it's also not a complication. So with 5 momentum, or sorry, with 5 successes, you go up to 5 momentum. And what you notice, Mason, is these white orbs are putting out a subspace communication wave. It is like someone is taking like a bosun whistle and blowing it in both a high and a low pitch. But there's no real rhyme or reason to it. It's kind of random, where it rises and falls in no pattern that you recognize.
Can I spend momentum to create a trait to recognize it?
You
Or
certainly
to
may.
at least predict it?
You certainly may, and that's going to be using your plan of action, or what is it? It's
Or just a straight momentum spend?
just a
What I
straight
was
momentum.
thinking.
Okay, so that would be 2 momentum then to create that trait.
Okay.
And
And
yeah,
I
what I'm
will.
going to say is, Mason, as you're looking at it and the computers of the Event Horizon churn through it, you think this might be, and you're not 100% sure, you think this might be some form of a trinary code. And kind of as a, explanation, today's computer systems are binary. We work on ones and zeros. Trinary, therefore, would work on 0, 1, and 2.
Hmm.
Interesting. I've I've thrown in an algorithm and some specifics of what I found out from the scan into the computer. We should see if we can modulate our shields, perhaps. See if we can, I don't know, stop some of this interference. I'd like to have both of our impulse engines going and our warp core
Mhm.
if possible.
I would like to do that if possible,
Yeah.
as I have reverse engineering and jury rigging as my focuses.
Yeah, you're definitely set
So,
up here.
Nice.
yeah.
Though unfortunately,
So
your daring is a 7.
my daring is crap. So,
All right, well, Gerald, this is going to be a daring and an engineering. And the ship will assist you with a engines engineering as people throw a threat at my face.
Nice.
We'll immediately spend that threat to make your complication range on both you and the ship a 17 to 20.
ooh.
Cool.
Oh,
In
difficulty of 3.
Okay, in which case, would anyone be opposed to me burning some momentum to at least gain one more die?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Well, you could burn a determination if you like.
I don't know if I'm quite prepped to burn a determination.
Sure.
I'll give you mine.
Well, chat just threw momentum at my face, so you're up to 4 momentum.
Okay. All right.
I keep catching the animations of the
I know,
Yeah, yeah.
same.
Yeah.
No,
what
I
is that?
specifically added the animation because one thing people wanted to see was some sort of visual when somebody redeemed momentum and threat. So
Mhm.
I figured, hell, just throw it at my face. People see it.
Right.
Then.
That's
Valid. Yeah.
hilarious.
Yeah, we could see it as players too, right? So
Yeah, which is fun. I mean, I can. Sure, let's use. Well, do I have a value that makes sense here?
I could
You
just
could
give you
roll
one.
first.
I
and
could
then
just give you one as
Yeah.
CO, right?
Yeah, CO
Yeah.
can give their
Sure.
determination to someone else they're in contact with.
Yeah.
This sounds
I'll-
important. So
Yeah. Okay. So I'll use determination. If it needs to come from a value, I'm doing solutions come from adaptability.
Like it. Cool.
Great.
All right. So I'm using 1 momentum to get a 3rd die.
Mm-hmm.
Determination, focus, 17 range.
Well,
Of course.
there's that. That's a
I got
Peter
the 3
roll.
successes.
Yeah.
All right. If someone could get the Event Horizon, again, the Event Horizon is doing a engines and engineering at a complication range of 17 to 20.
So if anyone wanted the joke from earlier, Peter when the dice rolled,
Right.
this is
You
it.
still have a focus though, right?
Yeah, the ship still has a focus.
I'll do the ship. But Joel has one as well, so you can reroll the 20.
No, he doesn't have cautious and engineering.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Oh,
But
whoa,
hey,
hey.
the Event Horizon gets you 2 successes more, so that's actually 2 momentum right back. Well done.
Nice.
So one thing we do have to do is, Gerald, you have veteran. So
Oh, that's
technically, you were at 2 determination when you spent 1 here. So go ahead and roll your veteran to see if you still have 2 determination. And the way veteran works in the system is it is 1d20 underneath your control rating, which is an 11. Congratulations, you stay at 2 determination. Well done.
Hooray.
So yeah, Gerald, tell us a little bit about your process. Are you going to be modulating the shields? Are you going to be messing with the hull polarization? What does it look like when you try to match the frequency being put out by these spheres?
I think I'm primarily trying to modulate the shield frequency.
Okay.
Since they're on. So it's the first line of defense. So I'll be having on one screen the commander's algorithm processing the trinary code and seeing if I can match the modulation with that. Um, so, and because I am aware of how this ship works, you'll see Gerald press a button on his console. The Elcar's panels will switch away, and you're going to see Gerald working with like a couple analog knobs to try to get the exact um, modulation just right, to just tweak it, fine tune it just a little bit.
Love it. And of course, you're completely correct, Peter. This is a Tom Paris ship, so every single console, every single one, even the ones in the holodeck, all have literal manual overrides that you can get to.
Sick.
But yeah, the good news with that many successes and that level of detail, you are able to sort of ride out the storm, and instead of the grav plating fluctuating, the hum of the ship stabilizes, the grav plating returns to normal, power stops flickering, and you're good. You're no longer being battered by the waves, as it were.
Good job, engineering.
Thank you, Captain.
All right, that gives us some time. Take a look, figure out what's going on here. Now, from what I'm seeing, it seems like there's some kind of code embedded in these spheres going out, some trinary code. Can you try to decipher that? Can you see any pattern in there?
And since is doing the roll, I need somebody to roll me a computers engineering for the ship. And what I will tell you is the difficulty on this is a 4, but you can spend momentum to give the ship additional dice if you so wish.
Does someone else want to roll?
Interesting.
Else I roll a complication.
No, Peter, you got to roll it. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right.
I believe
You're
in
the
you.
engineer. You volunteered for this.
Yeah,
That's true.
You've already got the one complication, so you're not going to get another one.
Oh, by the way,
So
I took
speak it
threat
into
for that
existence.
complication because I want threat.
Oh, okay. Copy.
Okay, so the ship we're doing a focus, right? It has
Yes,
that?
ship always has a focus, and since this is the ship doing the roll, it is 2d20 by default, and I need to see 4 successes here.
It's an 18 complication range, right?
Correct.
Just making sure. Okay. 4 successes. Let's use 1 momentum to give him 3 dice.
Okay.
Unless you think I need a 4th one.
Is there any way for any of us to assist on this roll? Because it's a ship doing it, so I don't know how that's...
It's just the ship doing it,
Okay,
unfortunately.
copy.
But one thing that I've been reminded of, thank you, anonymous person poking me in the side, technically reserve power can be used as ship determination. Where if you want to have one of the die already as a 1, you could spend reserve power here to do it.
And then it takes an action on my part to restore reserve
it.
power.
Correct.
I believe. Yeah.
I'm good with it.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Okay.
Okay, so then using determination, 3 dice, 18, focus. Yeah.
There we go. That's why we had Peter roll. That's why we had Peter roll, because of the complication.
Peter, when the dice fell.
When the dice fell.
So
I have a tracker of that.
kind of does like an infinity loop in the air as it's sort of processing, and it finally starts turning a wide variety of colors, where it starts as blue, and then it's green, and then it's red, and then it's purple, and then it's yellow, and it's going through the whole visual spectrum. But eventually, finally reports it is a distress call. And then, as the complication, there's going to be a shower of sparks, and disappears.
Shaka, when the walls fell.
Trinary codes are remarkably complicated, exponentially so compared to a binary code that we'd be used to. But I think we broke our AI.
I shall have to spend some time attempting to... I don't know that she needs to be recompiled, but rebooted.
Let's get reserve power first.
Of course, Captain.
Thank you.
All right.
Reserve power is a maybe control engineering?
I want to say it's control engineering because this is one of the first times we've actually used reserve power in all my 2E games. So
Right.
just give me a moment to confirm.
Oh, we're going to use so much reserve power.
Oh, yeah.
This boat is made for reserve power.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Let's see. All right, so it is a control and an engineering at a difficulty of 1. And every time you attempt this, it increases in difficulty by 1.
Okay. Well, do I get to use focuses on this one, or is I don't?
Yeah, you can still
sure.
use focuses
Okay.
on this one.
Okay. Well, since it's reserve power, I'm going to say that my electroplasma power systems focus applies here.
Most definitely.
And okay. Difficulty of 1 should be okay.
Okay.
Yes.
3 successes, meaning you are capped on momentum now, and you get your reserve power back. Well done.
Sweet.
All right, cool.
Outstanding.
Thank you, Captain.
I guess we should look into getting our AI back.
Yeah, how
That
does she
would,
work? Does she have is there a core, or how does that thing work?
It's probably in a closet. Everything else is in a closet.
Yeah.
Well, at least she's a
Closets, yeah.
subroutine on the main computer, but I can check if there is a closet with this particular program.
Yeah.
Maybe it's
There
a drawer.
is.
I don't know.
There's a
It's-
drawer.
As you look at the MSD of the ship, you see that the coaxial drive is to the port side of the ship, and the computer core is to the starboard side of the ship, literally across the hallway from one another.
Nice. Makes sense.
So you're gonna see Giral get up, the door's gonna, and he's gonna go in, and then you're just gonna see him like turn, open up the closet, pull open the ODN drawer, start pushing buttons.
Yeah.
And yeah, what I'm going to say is since you got your reserve power back, the EH does come back, and it's on top of Mason's head for some reason. But the EH reports, as I was saying, it is a distress call.
Welcome back.
I apologize for the momentary disruption. I was not anticipating the surge of information from deciphering the code.
And what exactly does it say?
It is interesting. Apparently, those white orbs are explorers from another reality.
Of course they are.
Another reality, you said?
Yes, the white hole is a portal to another reality, if this distress call is correct.
Oh,
All right. Step 1. General order number 4. If contact is made with an undiscovered intelligent life form, under no circumstances shall Starfleet personnel, either by word or deed, inform said life forms that other worlds exist other than their own intelligent life forms, other than their own, to exist outside the confines of their own space, or answers any questions by said life forms pertaining to the existence of other species outside of their space. So yes, they're here, but we need to tread carefully. Understood?
of course. Yes, sir.
All right. But they're in trouble, so we're also duty bound to figure out how we can help.
EH, because you deciphered the message, are we able to communicate back to them in a similar form that they can understand?
I could attempt a further deciphering of their code, but perhaps someone besides myself should interface with the universal translator. I am still experiencing a few glitches in my code, and the EH hologram hops off of Mason's head, but instead of flying around like a hummingbird, it just goes onto the ground.
Right. Right.
I'll pick them up and put them on the captain's seat.
Right.
You just sit there. You're okay.
I love that it's been like 30 minutes and we're already caring about this little hummingbird. It's amazing.
Yeah, of course. It's our friend.
Poor fellow.
But
get a
yes,
better name.
anyone who would care to do a roll, and you may assist each other on this, it is either a reason or an insight plus con. And the reason I'm saying con is because my understanding is most of the communications actually now runs through the con discipline. In fact, let me just confirm that real quick.
Nobby.
Sounds right.
Yeah, it is mostly going through con now. So it
Copy.
is either a reason or insight plus con. The difficulty on this is going to be a 4.
Ooh,
I have no focus in it, but my con is good.
My reason's good, but my con is not.
Yeah, my insight and reason are both good, and con is a yummy 5. So I'm
I
Thought
mean,
you.
con guy should do con stuff.
yeah.
Yes.
So I'll take the lead, but somebody please assist me because I'm worried. I'll give you take 1 momentum and the rest threat. I'll go up to 4 die,
Okay.
and then yeah,
I don't have anything for con, but I have a high reason.
copy,
So I'm 12-1 reason con.
copy.
I'm 11 too, so it's 6 1/2 dozen the other which one of
Yeah,
us does it. So
yeah,
Oh, I prefer Peter dice.
yeah. They're more fun, honestly. Yeah.
Yeah.
oh no.
All right, Peter.
Yeah, with the
Roll
wall
that
spell.
complication. You know what you're doing.
All right.
Wow, 3 15s. That is a
I will
thing.
re-roll the
Wow.
19 because I
Okay,
did give
reroll the
you
19. Okay,
nice.
so that is your 4 successes. Peter, do you get us a complication?
I don't think I have a focus on this, so I just get the 1 die to roll.
Surely you're not going to roll a 20. See, you didn't roll a 20. You're
Nice.
fine.
See,
You're
we're fine.
fine. You're fine. One moment. Sorry. There we go. So, as Zephyt, as you are going through and interfacing with the Universal Translator, you are able to create I wouldn't call it a language so much as a translator,
Sure.
which kind of sounds like the same word, but what I mean by it is you know what they're saying, they know what you're saying, but it's not something you could speak. It's something you have to manually either type into the console, or it's something that you have to otherwise input. It's not something where voice is going to work here.
Copy. Commander, I've got a rudimentary way to communicate via basic channels. It should work. No audio, of course, but we can at least attempt to have a written conversation.
Well, what's the verbiage of the distress signal?
Hmm.
Exactly what they're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. So what they are saying is, to anyone out there, we have been sucked through the portal. We do not know how to get back. Please help. We are decaying.
Okay.
Already?
Brainstorm time.
I guess firstly I feel we should attempt to contact with them and see in what
No.
method they're decaying. I mean, we can't go through because then we could be stuck in the exact same situation that they are.
If we could help them without risking General Order number 4, I'd prefer that. I want to exhaust whatever we can to help them without them knowing we're here. As far as we know, they can't even see us. Whatever reality they're from, or dimension that they're from, they may not exist this or understand that this reality exists.
Can we run a passive scan to see the subatomic resonance to see if we can get a match on their, I guess the phase variance of their dimensional shift?
Yeah, Peter, that sounds like a reason engineering assisted by the ship's sensors engineering at a difficulty of 2.
Okay. I don't know that I have a focus here that really works other than computers, and that's not exactly tied in. So, I'm gonna burn a momentum since we've got some to use,
Okay.
and then let's see what happens.
That's 1 success, which means I'm going to need to see a sensors engineering success from the ship.
We have a trait that could lower that, maybe?
I already lowered it. Anytime I give you a difficulty, it is automatically factoring in the traits.
I was hoping. How we got to get 1 more success? Oh, this ship might do it.
Yeah. I believe in the ship. Whoever wants to get sensors engineering.
I can do that real quick. Sensors, engineering, copy.
All right, there you go. You got your 2.
Nice.
So it's interesting, Gerald. You're expecting like, oh, it's like that one episode where Worf ends up with 100 different Enterprise Ds, and you have to find the right Worf to go to the right Enterprise.
Hmm.
It's not like that at all. In
Okay.
fact, if what you're seeing is correct, this reality that is on the other side of that white hole is fundamentally different than your reality. And what I mean by that, and this is getting really into the science, but quantum mechanics in our reality, very unpredictable. It's you can either observe a particle's position or you can observe its speed. You can observe a cat in a box and you know whether it's alive or dead. There's a lot of uncertainty. In this other reality, it's static, it's orderly, it's predictable, meaning that they are operating and coming from a reality that is fundamentally different from the one you're currently in.
Which would be why they're falling apart.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, that's okay. Interesting.
Captain, both the Schrodinger's principle and Heisenberg principle are non-existent in this reality that they're from, apparently. So the innate chaos of our just quantum ether is anathema to everything that they are.
It's just entropy. They're just okay. Well, that gives us something. The question is, can we order the space around that white hole? Maybe give them a tunnel, give them a highway.
So,
Just put everything right for them in a straight line.
so creating a static warp shell, basically?
We're not even sure how they move through space or travel of their own
No,
volition.
we aren't.
So anything that we do based on our universe's bylaws could be catastrophic or non-helpful for them based on how they operate, correct?
If there was a way to get their base, even if it's just like a basic physics textbook from their computer, it might help us figure out a little bit more of what's going on.
As a
But that
reminder,
might
you can
require
spend a
communication.
momentum to ask a question.
Actually,
Right.
because of plan of action, we should have got 2 bonus momentum to spend with
Oh,
that last roll because
then you
he
can
used
ask
it
me
Yeah.
right.
2
There
questions.
you go.
Yeah.
So yeah, Peter, you're the one that made the roll. 2 questions. What you got?
Okay. First question is, well, we might be a little bit too much, but it can we tell that the that the ship would that that whatever is going on with that ship would react in a favorable way to a static warp shell or something that would
Hmm.
limit in a sort of subspace field way of their connection to the rest of the universe, because it creates a
Right.
pocket dimension in a way.
Do we even
Right.
know that they're in a vessel? For all we know, we don't even know how they operate.
Right. What I will tell you, Lieutenant Commander Gerald, is that a normal static warp bubble will not work. But you have a coaxial drive,
Oh, that's
meaning
right.
you can quite literally fold space to do whatever you need it to do. And that might provide a way to get them their, as Commander Mason put it, the highway.
Second question, how close would we have to be to do that?
You would have to be in the particle fountain itself.
That's what I thought. Captain, good news. We can create a field of a sense using the coaxial engines. Bad news, potentially, in view of General Order 4. We might have to be literally on top of them to do it.
We don't even know if they know we're here.
We do not.
But if we're going to be on top of them in fold space, we're going to have to go where they're to. We have to go into the event horizon of this white hole.
Close to it, yeah. The question is whether or not they'll be able to perceive us based on their sensors or ability to perceive our kind of matter. But it does appear to be the only way that we can do something, at least from my instruments.
Con, do you think we could get in there and out of there fast enough?
I mean, theoretically, the coaxial drive can operate as quick as we need it to do, and do whatever we need it to do in whatever amount of time that we can do it in. So theoretically, I shouldn't need much time in its event horizon, for lack of a better term, to do what we need to do if it's successful. I believe that the ship's shielding and armor should be able to keep us safe, and then the coaxial drive can remove us from any situation instantly if there is some form of threat.
Okay. Send a message to the spheres.
And EH kind of chirps, channel is open.
This is Commander Oliver Mason of the U.S.S. Event Horizon. We're going to attempt to bring you back into your own space. There may be a bump. Please understand that we're not trying to harm you. We're trying to help. Brace for impact. Mason out.
All right. And of course, the EH translates that into a form that can be put through the translator and then sent to them. And this is where I'm actually going to spend a lot of threat because I got to keep things interesting.
Yeah.
So I do have to spend 2 threat for every player. So that is 6 threat. So I'm going to go down to 4
Nice.
threat. What's going to happen is the 3 white spheres are going to circle even faster around the particle fountain. And the white hole is going to start growing in size exponentially.
Okay.
And what I will tell you is that if you don't do something soon, bad things are going to start happening to this area of space.
Mm-hmm.
We're out of time.
Yeah.
Buckle up.
All right. So I guess how close do we need to be to operate this coaxial highway maneuver?
You need to be, as you said, right on top of them.
Right on top of it.
You
We
need
will
to be
have
in
to
the middle
engage
of the
the-
particle fountain.
We have to engage the engines to get us there and then to do it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So this is where your improved warp engine is going to be key. So no pressure,
Yeah.
Peter. No pressure at all.
Nice. Okay.
All right, so the first thing to actually do the coaxial jump from point A to point B so that you're in the middle of the particle field, that is going to be a control plus a con at a difficulty of 1 normally, assisted by the engine's con of the ship. However, I have threat. I'm going to spend 2 of it to make the complication range for you and the ship a 16 to 20 here.
Oof. Wow.
Ouch.
All right. Well, I will roll the ship here.
There you go. Ship already got
That's
you
good.
2. Yeah.
Don't ask. It's probably never going to happen again.
Wait, am I rolling this?
Yes, you are.
Oh, okay, got it. I guess astro navigation or helm operations here.
Both would apply.
Copy. I good. Yeah. Let's.
You want to give me threat?
The total
'Cause you
difficulty
got
was
old
4.
con?
Yeah, of course, of course.
Now, difficulty on this is just a 1, but it's the complication range of 16 to 20.
Okay, copy. Yeah, I'll still give you a threat for the 3rd die, so I at least have the reroll.
Okay.
Nice.
I mean, unless you want a crit fish.
No. Not
No,
when
the
my
roll
target
getting
number
it.
is also my comp number. So,
Fair enough.
The roll to get out is going to be the tricky one.
yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Yep.
So, the outcome of this action: the event horizon folds in on itself and unfolds in the middle of the particle stream, and immediately the ship is violently rocking. The energy is overwhelming the shield arrays. There is so much exotic matter and exotic material and particles that you don't want to be here for very long. And what I'm going to do to represent that is I'm automatically going to take away 5 shields from your ship. Now, the good news is it's not like first edition where 5 or more damage in a single attack means that you start getting breaches. They have changed that in second edition. It's actually very hard for me to give you a breach now. So just keep in mind you are taking shield damage. You're not technically in any danger yet, but you still are in danger, if that makes any sense. But now
This
comes
ship
the
has so many shields.
It does.
Mhm.
It really does.
Now, Peter, this is where you need to get reserve power back. And there's 2 ways for you to do it. One
Okay.
is the improved warp drive. So 1d20 under a 13.
Okay. Okay. 1d20.
And you get it back. Well done.
Right.
All right. So, what I'm going to say is that there are multiple ways to accomplish this, because I want to give you all a chance to contribute and succeed. But just keep in mind that the first assist is free, but every other assist on top of that is a momentum spend. So if you want 2 people assisting you, it's a momentum spend. If you want all 3 assisting you, it's a 2 momentum spend, etc., etc. This is a daring engineering, or a daring con, or perhaps a daring science. The ship will assist you within engines and engineering.
Ooh, the power
And
stat.
to make things spicy, I'm going to use all 3 of my threat, even accounting for the traits that you have in play. The difficulty is going to be a 4. It was technically a 6. Your 2 traits brought it down to a 4. And then I basically solidified it at a 4.
Sure.
Now it's time for determination.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Well, we're gonna have obviously the ship rolls.
And as a
Yeah.
reminder, you could spend reserve power to give that ship die as a 1.
That's
But then you might not have a way to get out, if you get my meaning.
Yeah, let's not do that. So I think Khan should probably take lead.
Yeah,
would
I
be
think I
my
can
thought.
still take the lead with this.
And then we can have the ship. Because the ship's complication range is always 18, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Would astral navigation still fire here as a focus, because we are trying to navigate in this white hole to give them a way to navigate out themselves?
I think I would actually give you combat tactics and maneuvering instead.
Oh, that works too.
Makes
Yeah.
sense.
Okay.
So the ship's assist is free.
Yes,
And then
the
if
ship
I
assist
want
is free.
Then if I want to assist, still only 1 die. That's 1 momentum. Correct?
Correct.
Okay.
But
So
the good
I can-
news is that, unlike in first edition, you could spend determination on your assist die to immediately make it a 1.
I'm probably going to do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm thinking of just giving 1 threat for a 3rd die, because since I have a focus, my stats are good here. It should be able to get the bulk of this. And then you guys can spend momentum to assist if we require it, right?
If you want to do it
Because-
that way, yeah.
Based on my roll and the ship's roll, we can see if we're successful. And then
Okay.
we can determine how many assists we need after that, right?
Sure.
Okay.
Right, let's try this.
I
then.
will roll the ship.
Okay. Well, there's your 4.
Yeah.
Nice.
Very nice. So, narratively, what happens is as the event horizon is buffeted by the stream of particles, it glows blue again along the edges, but this time it's not the ship that folds, it's the space outside of the ship that folds. And it's kind of hard for me to explain, but do you all know what a Mobius strip is?
Yes.
Yeah. For anyone who doesn't, though, for the sake of the audience, is a Mobius strip is basically a one-sided strip where if you take a piece of paper, twist it once, and then link the two ends, you can travel infinitely along the one side because it's all one side. So what happens is as you start to fold space, the particle fountain folds back in on itself to create a Mobius strip and begins feeding into the white hole itself. And the white hole begins to shrink and shrink and shrink. And the three white orbs circle closer and closer and closer as the particle stream starts to lessen in intensity. And then with not quite a popping noise, but some form of a kind of a boop, as you were, the three white orbs are sucked into the white hole. The white hole collapses in on itself. And EH reports, "Sir, before they went, they said thank you."
Well done, everyone.
No, that was one crazy shakedown cruise, right? We can all agree on that, right?
That's some good flying.
Yeah, that was fun. This ship is neat, everybody. The ship is real neat.
It's got lots of juice. Well, let's get those shields back up. And let's parse the data that we've picked up, and there's no more white hole. We might as well head home.
Yeah, I guess not much else to study about the thing, so that's cool.
All right. And of course, our ending shot is you all restoring the event horizon. You coaxial warp away, and we just sort of see the
Nice.
starfield as it fades to black. And that'll be our series premiere.
Nice.
Yeah. So what do you all think? You know, I do want to say, I do have to give a shout out. This was inspired by the mission brief, The Order Beyond. That is in the mission brief pack of TNG Anomalies. But I saw this and I'm like, it's the event horizon. It's perfect. It's a white hole. I have to do this as our first
Yeah, that's
mission.
great. That's a fun little session parameter there for sure. I liked it.
No, and since it's over now, what I will tell you is that had you ignored the spheres, or if you hadn't figured out that they were, sentient in some way, they would have blown up in like supernova, a hypernova kind of a thing.
Oh wow.
Oh boy.
So it's a good thing you clued in on that very quickly, because there's definitely guidance in this brief that's like, yeah, they're going to blow up very big if you don't send them back.
Dang. Well, great. We handled that very well. Good job, everybody.
Yeah.
That
Now,
went
one thing I will
remarkably
say
smoothly.
is that if you spent determination, and I think it still counts if the commanding officer gives their determination, I think it still counts. Make a note of it and which value you used, because that's how you advance in second edition.
Right.
And it doesn't need to be like a full notes of the session. Just make a note of it somewhere that you used a value and what value you used. That way, when you use that value again, you get to gain something on your character sheet. So it's kind of a new way that they're handling it that is more player-driven and less, it's time for an arc milestone, which we're trying it out. I don't know if I'm on board with it quite yet, but we're trying it out all the same.
Yeah, I always forgot about that. So now it really incentivizes you to use it every session.
Yep.
Yeah, true.
Cool.
Very
That's not a bad way to do it, because you
it's great.
You really want to use the determination, right? Because it pulls those values in.
Right, exactly.
Awesome. All right, well, YouTube, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you later. Bye-bye, YouTube.
Bye, YouTube.